my hometown, my hometown. Hey, yo, class of 1987, Central York, I'm a Panther. So it's great to be back. I'm gonna drop some York cred here right now, okay? Who remember going to the York Mall? Yeah. Who, Gen X, who ever went to the Funderland arcade to play Pac-Man? We just drove by the Delco Plaza and I saw Red Dawn in 1984. Anyone else? We're here at the fairgrounds. My dad brought me here to see the Statler Brothers, okay? As a kid, every September, we would go here to the fair. Yeah. So, and it's like, remember, now this is going way back. You know, this was before Topgolf took over everything. Who remembers Avalons to hit some balls? Anyone? Yeah. That's how go back in York I go right now. And so now, I am so amazing. It's amazing. Look at this crowd. It's so great to be here. It's such an honor to be here to welcome our next vice president right now. Yeah, oh yeah. And, you know, now, it's like, you know, he's, you know, Midwest, nice, I know. But the other candidate for vice president, yeah. You know, I work with him. So you might think that is he really that weird? And I'm here to say yes, I can confirm that. Confirm that. Yeah, and now let's us talk about my colleague from the Senate, Senator Vance. Now let's talk about a lot of that things. You know, can you even believe this? J.D. Vance have now called Trump America's Hitler. Can you believe that? In an interview, Vance actually agreed that Trump is a sexual predator. He doesn't want to talk about that. And also J.D. Vance has now even said this, and you can look it up, and it's absolutely true. Vance actually said that, I hate the police. Why? He doesn't want to talk about that. J.D. Vance said, I hate the police. You know, I thought we were supposed to be soft on crime. Crazy. And now, even back in 2020, Vance actually said that Trump failed to deliver. He summed up the Trump presidency. Oh, there. How he ended up on his ticket, I don't understand that. Can somebody explain that? I can't. You know, in a very weird way, Vance actually reminds me of Dr. Oz. Yes, I know they're weird, both. And of course, Dr. Oz is from New Jersey, and he's from Ohio, but the same is that they both used to be accomplished, regular people. And then they decided to sell their soul to be all about MAGA. And now, it's like just like Pennsylvania rejected Dr. Oz and sent him back to New Jersey. And I can't think that Pennsylvania is going to want somebody like J.D. Vance as the vice president on that. But now, we all realize we're 33 days out before the election. Pennsylvania picks the president. 100%, Pennsylvania. And now we're right now, and all of you are willing, to do the kind of work and to show up and to make sure that we deliver Pennsylvania. And now I'm going to talk to the media that's all here now. National media, anyone. I talk to the media all the time. And I'm calling it out. Now let's talk about the kinds of campaign that Trump is wanting and winning. What's he talking about? How he thinks that. Now Trump is talking about that they're eating the dogs. They're eating cats. He said that the vice president now just decided to become black. He called Harris is mentally impaired. He's even said, I was in the audience when he said that if I lose this election, now you can blame the Jews on that. Now I'm challenging the media right now. I'm not going to pretend that this is a normal kinds of an election here right now. The vice president is talking about real issues and having reasonable things and have strong policies. And now, what's the other side? I challenge the media. I want the media to find the less logical, sane thing, decent thing, anything that Trump has said in this entire election. If you can find a clip on that. And if they can find that, I'll sit down and I'll watch it with you right now. But right now, it's an incredibly stark choice right now. And we now have 33 days to make sure that we pick the next president right here in Pennsylvania. You delivered for me in 2022. You delivered to Joe Biden in 20. And now your next mission is to make sure that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is our next team leading Pennsylvania. Thank you, York. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Please welcome former school teacher and community leader, Jerry Ann Johnson.
Hello there. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerry Ann Johnson, and I'm very, very happy to be here to welcome Governor Walz to our neck of the woods here in central Pennsylvania. We all know that there is so much at stake in this election, as evidenced by all of you here. From our freedoms to our democracy to our families' bottom lines, there's only one ticket that is fighting to take our country forward and that has common sense solutions to help people out. We need steady leaders who are ready and willing to work together to deliver for folks. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are the only people in this race that will do that. So you might be wondering, why is this person that we don't have any idea about, why is she speaking to us today? Well, I have a confession. I have been a lifelong Republican. However, and I voted in my first presidential election in 1972, so that gives you an idea how old I am. But I have seen the light. And I know that the choice that we make in this election will shape the future of our country for decades to come. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, she told me not to touch it, so I was being obedient. So all of us here in York, we know that this is one of the most important counties in one of the most, if not the most, important battleground state of this election. And there is a lot riding on our shoulders. We must show up and make our voices heard. We really do have the power to decide what happens in this election. We have the power to decide. Oh, we need a medical person down here. Is there someone coming? Are you going to catch it? Oh. I'm just going to take a pause here, if that's okay, till we see everything's okay. We doing okay? I'm sorry. We're lucky to have this support at such an important time here. So thank you to all those helping. Well, let's hope and pray that we have a good outcome there. So, where was I? So we here in central Pennsylvania, and especially here in York County, we have the power to decide what our future looks like. And I'll tell you this, we will not give this to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. We will not give them the chance to roll back the clock and take us with them. Not going back. The threat that Trump's extreme Project 2025 poses is very personal to me. I'm an advocate for women with heart disease. I have worked in this field for 20 years. And I'm also an advocate for people struggling with mental health issues. I have 2 bipolar children, and I know quite well the struggles that they face. I remember what it was like before the Affordable Care Act was passed, and people were routinely denied coverage because they had pre-existing conditions, things like asthma, diabetes, and heart disease, or even cancer. And as Trump has repeated on the stage, just as recently as the debate in Philadelphia last month, he still wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Ripping away coverage and raising costs and returning us to that time when Pennsylvanians could be denied coverage on the basis of pre-existing conditions. Repealing the Affordable Care Act would raise costs or deny coverage to over 5 million people in Pennsylvania with pre-existing conditions, including people that I love and interact with every single day. So this, to me, is just unthinkable. But that is what Trump talks about doing. In stark contrast, we have Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. They are fighting to strengthen the Affordable Care Act and to lower health care costs. They want to expand the caps on prescription drugs for drug costs for Medicare to all Americans and to ensure more folks have access to affordable health care, not fewer. And they will also stand up for the rule of law and defend democracy at home and abroad. They will defend our fundamental rights and freedoms. And these are the stakes that we all have brought here today. There's just so much riding on this. This is just one reason why I'm proudly casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz this November. And I think I'm pretty certain of this, that everyone here is going to do the same, including many, many registered Republicans here in the state, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Oh, there, I see you out there. Yes, yes. There are a lot of us out there, and we do have an actual formed coalition for Republicans for Harris and Walz, so I'm very proud to be part of that. So, in closing, I hope that everyone else who's listening that could possibly be on the fence, which I'm not sure how that is, but there are those people out there, and including some Republicans like me, although I'm trying to convince them all, will help me in not only voting for Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, but convincing those of your friends and family that might not be there yet. So it's now time to turn the page on the chaos of Trump and the division and elect real leaders who are going to fight for us. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, it is my honor, my absolute honor, to introduce one of those leaders who is here with us today. He is absolutely delightful. And here he comes, our next Vice President, Governor Tim Walz.
Well, hello, York. Before I start, I just have to admit, that is the coolest thing I've ever got to do, is come off that bus. So that was really great. Jerry Ann, thank you. Thank you for coming over to stand with folks who care about the democracy and understanding we can work together for the good of this country. So thank you. And anytime I can be around your Senator John Fetterman, it's a good day. So look, he's doing an incredible job, but I always say this back in Minnesota. He is the only guy in America that can dress down better than me. So I appreciate that. I follow his lead. Look, we got some work to do, but I've also had the privilege when I was in Congress to serve with one of the most honorable, effective senators. You got to send Bob Casey back to the Senate. So you've got to. And I'll tell you, when I don't watch a lot of the pundits or whatever, but I will tell you the one who speaks the truth, and every time I hear her when she's on, I'm like, whoever she's representing is damn lucky. Madeleine Dean is doing a hell of a job. So she's amazing. And then A.G. Henry is here, and we were just discussing, as a governor, having an AG that has your back matters more than anything. So really appreciate that. And to Pennsylvanians, of course, it's who you are, and to the EMTs, thank you for the incident we had, for taking care of folks. My wife is always reminding me to stay hydrated too, so it sounds like folks are okay. But look, I do want to start out on that note, saying for all of us, our hearts, thoughts, and prayers are going out to our neighbors, the folks across the Southeast United States. They're still in the midst of a catastrophe from the damage of Hurricane Helene. Families lost homes, and too many loved ones have lost their lives. I know President Biden, Vice President Harris, my fellow governors and state and local officials of the impacted states working round the clock to help and protect their people. Vice President Harris was going to be here today. She's on the ground right now in Georgia, making sure folks are doing what they can do. You've all seen it. These are challenging times for us. They are challenging, but I've always said this, they bring out the very best in who we are as Americans. So, as a governor, a former guardsman, I've been activated in the wake of tornadoes, floods, and I understand at this point what things are happening. It's an opportunity to put partisanship aside, commit to providing the resources necessary, make sure these people get their lives and their livelihood back in order. So, I also say it for the folks, and we see, so the news gets out there. For anyone affected this, keep following local law enforcement. Let the first responders and professionals handle this. We can bring the goodness of the American people in, is what we're seeing. So thank you all. Go to the Red Cross, do some of those things, but we will rebuild. We will get things back. That's just what we do as Americans. So thank you. So I know it was a beautiful Tuesday night. Anybody watch the debate last night? Look, not bad for a football coach, not bad. So you also saw something interesting. We had a civil but spirited debate. And I did not underestimate Senator Vance as a slick talker. He could. But I also called out there, you can't rewrite history. You can't rewrite history. And trying to mislead us about Donald Trump's record, that's gaslighting. That's gaslighting. So on the economy, reproductive freedom, housing, gun violence, look, they tried to tell us last night, wow, you should be happy. Donald Trump tried to save Obamacare. Are you kidding me? He spent his entire presidency trying to eliminate it. But I'll tell you, I think some of you saw this. When you're governor, congressman, you're trying to solve problems, whatever you want a straight answer on something. The moment that really stuck out is I just asked the simplest of all questions that every single American should be able to answer. I asked him if Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. He refused to answer. We have an EMT, we need someone with water right here, center back, right in front of the media. You have somebody? There we go. There he is. You guys got water? Yeah, you're right. We probably should. That's a good point. Think about it. We got somebody on it? All right, thank you all. Thank you. But look, I think you can feel the difference, because what I was doing last night and the way I understand the job I'm asking the American people to entrust me with and to entrust Kamala Harris with, I was speaking to the American people last night. It felt, especially in that moment to me, that Senator Vance was speaking to an audience of one. Now look, there is a reason Mike Pence was not on that stage with me. And let me just say this. I served with Mike Pence in Congress. We disagreed on most issues. But in Congress and as a vice president, I never criticized Mike Pence's ethics and commitment to this country, and he made the decision for the Constitution. Mike Pence did his duty. He honored his oath, and he chose the Constitution over Donald Trump. Understand, in that 88th minute last night, with that damning non-answer, Senator Vance made it clear he will always make a different choice than Mike Pence made. And as I said then, and I will say now, that should be absolutely disqualifying if you're asking to be the Vice President of the United States. But our democracy is strong, and we know that campaigns are supposed to be about giving a vision. And last night you saw two very different visions for the future of this country. You also, a couple weeks ago, saw two very different visions of leadership on the debate stage with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Presidents' words mean something. Presidents' words have consequences. When this nation is in some of the most difficult times, we turn and look for that leadership. In the heart of the Great Depression, at that first inaugural, Franklin Delano Roosevelt looked at Americans who were suffering and, to reassure them and bring us together, said, "All we have to fear is fear itself." And it is a quote that echoes through history because it went to who we are. And what he was talking about was rallying together. When communism was on a spread, when the Russian Empire was spreading, Ronald Reagan stood there and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall." And as Donald Trump and Kamala Harris sat on that stage, articulating a vision and showing what type of leadership they had, FDR made his quote, Gorbachev made his quote, Donald Trump yelled, "They're eating dogs, they're eating cats." Now look, I'm with you. I'm with you. If this wasn't so damn serious, it would be funny. But character matters. Character matters. And Kamala Harris has it. Her vision is about bringing us together and being a president for all Americans. Now, being in this beautiful town, riding in on a bus, again, super cool, I do always recognize this. The privilege of being on this ticket is a privilege of my lifetime. But the real privilege is getting to meet Americans where they live all across this country. And coming back here to Pennsylvania, I have found out Pennsylvania and Minnesota have a lot in common. Super Bowl rings are not one of them. We're 4-0, people. Let me have my moment. Let me have my moment. Go Vikings. But look, it's deeper than that. History. We have fed this nation and we have powered this nation from our two states. And we also share something else that bonds us all together. And it's the reason all of you are here. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life. Thank you to the mom and daughter I'm going to talk to who are here first thing in the morning to come and stand in here to say that this was what it's about. But you're here. You could be anywhere. You could be doing something else. You came here for that simple reason. You love this country. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It feels good when we know we're united. That's what this is about. Kamala Harris knows that. From her first day as a prosecutor to right now as vice president, Kamala Harris has only one client: the people. The people. She did her job to protect us. She took on the predators. She took on fraudsters trying to rip people out of their houses. And she took on transnational gangs and corporate interest. And the story that needs to be told, and you see it, she did it by reaching across the aisle to find solutions. That matters. It matters. Donald Trump says, I don't like people who don't like me. I got off a bus last time, I believe it was here in Pennsylvania, one of the first times off that bus, and there were supporters just like you. On the other side, there were supporters that weren't. And I said, I can always tell they had on red hats and they weren't supporters. But Kamala Harris turned to me and looked me in the eye. She said, Tim, never forget, we work just as hard and our policies matter for those people and those people. We're in it together. We're in it together. And let's just be really honest about this, especially for the young folks who are here, because it seems like maybe people had forgotten this. Our politics, and Kamala Harris reminded us, can be done with a sense of joy. It can be done with a sense of happiness. Look, I am proud to be the running mate with this incredible leader. For some of you might have heard it, I grew up in rural Nebraska around family farms, and I know Pennsylvanians do this too. When you're from a small town, there's a game we play. We try and small town somebody else. So I tell them 400, and they're like, yeah, it's about the same. And then I say, I had 24 kids in my class, but it seemed like about 12 of them were cousins, so that's a little different. But I said what you learn in those towns, and this is what I don't think Donald Trump understands. You learn about the idea of taking care of one another. You understand that? You learn how to help each other. And I was looking around here on this. In my case, I learned how to tune up a 1979 International Harvester. So there you got that. So I'm glad it wasn't green over there. I'd have felt bad saying this. But look, you know your responsibility is to the common good. It's not about driving, and Kamala Harris says this often too. Leadership is not about who you can push down, it's who you can lift up. It's that simple. So I'll tell you, my neighbors, they saw me. They sent me to Congress, a pretty red district. I think they told me we had had one other Democrat since like 1892 in that district, but my constituents sent me there. So my job was to find a solution for them. Worked across the aisle to pass farm bills together to make a difference in people's lives. Worked and became the ranking member on Veterans Affairs, and we expanded veterans benefits. We made sure crop insurance, farm education, beginning farm and rancher, job training. Those are things that people are concerned about. That's the things people are sitting in your communities talking about. They're not sitting around talking about banning books. They're asking how to make childcare affordable. And they want an answer that's not just a bunch of things. They want answers. Those are the values that have animated the public service of myself and, of course, of Vice President Harris, too. And here's the thing. I think that's what you're here for. Those are the values we're taking to the White House. Those are the values. You already know that here in Pennsylvania. You felt the pain of the Trump years. Killed 275,000 jobs. Now we're hearing last night that he created all these jobs. You're like, where the hell are those jobs? I never saw them. Well, under Vice President Harris, Pennsylvania's created more than 500,000 jobs during this time. Look, Kamala grew up in that same middle-class family. She knows the economy works best when it's fair. Look, you folks out here know this, and I was trying to make the point last night. We talk about stopping price gouging, and they want to talk, oh, that's some type of communism or whatever. No, here's what I'm trying to understand is, our farmers are making about $4.30 a bushel of corn, but prices went up at the grocery stores, even though when they were getting more than that for corn, prices were lower. Somebody's taking a cut out of that. Somebody's making money out of that. So and Donald Trump says, instead of fixing that, the folks who are taking the money should just get a bigger tax cut. Well, that's not fair. I brought it up last night. I don't understand how our Republican neighbors wouldn't be really mad about this. How all of you pay your taxes, you know what they do. They pay for the firefighters, they pay for the police, they pay for the roads, they pay for the schools. That's what it does. And they should be fair. They should be fair. How is it that he doesn't have to pay taxes 10 out of 15 years? That doesn't make sense. But you know what happens here is, we're talking about these prices and we're doing things. I saw a photo op of Donald Trump a few weeks ago, and he was in a grocery store. And he pulled out money to pay for a woman's grocery store. Look how generous he was on this. I would bet you any amount of money, that's the first time he's been in a grocery store since 1985. I guarantee you that. He never went into that grocery store. He doesn't actually know what the cost of those things are. But as the rest of the world saw, because of his botched handling of COVID and a global recession, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had to work ourselves out of that hole. So let's remember, it was Donald Trump that started a trade war with China that his own people said he lost. Slashed income, put farmers into bankruptcy, and killed thousands of jobs because he thought it was a great idea. Then look, I was part of authoring. I was on the committee when we wrote farm bills. These things are bipartisan. There's a very important piece of that, crop insurance, making sure that our farmers don't go out. He tried to cut those programs. And then he tried to cut grants to rural communities affected by natural disasters, just like the stuff we're seeing in the Southeast. That's not how you handle your neighbors. That's not how you do things right. Trying to cut protections for small farmers against big corporations, that's unfair. And here's the thing, when it comes to farmers and ranchers and how they did under his leadership, his ag secretary said something, and I come from farm country, that is just stunning. And some of you in here, if you're associated with this, you know people, you know agriculture. These guys said, well, the trick is you get bigger or you get out. That's how you destroy family farms. That's how you get consolidation in agriculture, and that's how you end up making it easier that prices get fixed in the end. Diversification is better. Small towns know that. Look, I know this. We know where the votes are. We need to take our values and talk about those in areas that we know. We're not just looking for your vote. We believe the policies are going to improve your lives. We believe these things will help you. Kamala's laid out a plan, and she talks about an opportunity economy, one that reaches into farming and energy communities, just like this area of Pennsylvania where York's at, things that make a difference. You're hoping to buy a home someday? Let's make it easier by getting some down payment affordability and build those 3 million new homes. That child tax credit that can reduce childhood poverty by 1/3 lets you buy a crib or the car seat or the baby clothes. That's what you get. If you're really talking about you're concerned about the children, put your money where your mouth is and help out on that. And again, if you're getting squeezed on grocery, prescription drugs, let's take on the price gougers in Big Pharma. Those of you in here know this. I just met someone talking, those who need insulin. This is not a choice. It's like, oh, maybe I'd like to buy a new TV or maybe I'd like. No, you die if you don't get insulin. It's a necessity. And Kamala Harris capping insulin at $35 gives people a mind that they can get it, peace of mind. We did it in Minnesota, and you know what it took to get it done? It took a mother who lost her son because he was rationing his insulin once he went off her insurance. And when we're talking about price gouging, again, I'll say that little vial of insulin that's $35, it used to cost, in some cases, up to $800. You know how much it costs to make it? $5. $5 is what they say. So look, let's start doing the things that people are asking for, not the stupid things that are there to distract us. If you've got an idea for a small business, let's cut the red tape. We're willing to help on that. And then give a tax credit. And when we talk about the tax credit, it's been frozen forever at $5,000. Who can start a small business on $5,000 on a tax credit? Kamala Harris proposed 10 times more at $50,000 tax credit. And when people ask a couple things, how will you pay for that? First of all, those small businesses will generate a lot of revenue and a lot of extra jobs. And secondly, if you call yourself a billionaire like Donald Trump and you've not paid federal tax for 10 of the last 15 years, we'll start collecting from folks like that. That'll make a difference. So, and in rural communities, start connecting through rural lenders so that we're keeping the money in communities for investments in those jobs in rural communities. If you live in the heartland and you want to start that small business, there's a program called Rural Partners Network. that starts to make sure and expand that nationwide, that makes sure these communities can thrive. And I keep talking about this. People are concerned, small communities. My small community, when I lived there, was bigger, and it continues to drop down. We have speculators. You heard last night that it's immigrants. They're taking all the housing. How are they getting a loan when we can't in some cases? But the question is, you don't ever question the speculators that buy them? That's what Kamala Harris is talking about, making it free, making sure that freedom is there and making sure that it's fair. This idea that you can have an economy that works for everyone makes a difference. Now look, I want to be clear. We've got Republicans in the group here, and we've got them in our families. We got them in our families. Look, the Republican Party has added much to this country. We need them back again, because that Republican Party used to talk about freedom and fair economy, and they meant it. Turns out Donald Trump's people and their definition of freedom is freedom to invade your doctor's office, freedom to invade your bedroom. They're super concerned about all of our bedrooms. That's not normal. That is not normal. And again, I said this. Well, and again, it said, look, I don't like, as a teacher, I said this, that you should quit, calling people weird. I said, then quit doing weird things. And that's how that works. But with that being said, we're just simply asking this, and I said it. This is where the Republicans in the group, this is core to the Republican Party. The idea of making sure that government was there to provide the services that it should, build the roads, do the schools, provide public safety. A lot of old school Republicans just concerned it got into other things. That's a fair discussion. But the one core of that Republican Party was, and I say this often, I might not make the same choices you make in your life. I might not see it the same way. That's fine to have that difference. But the thing is, we respect those personal differences. Those are yours to make. Those are not me to make. You certainly don't want Donald Trump making them. So I started with the have a lot in common. I will guarantee you this isn't just a Minnesota phrase. Mind your own damn business. We'll get along better. Get along better. You heard a very clear difference on women's reproductive rights last night. And this is not theoretical. When I talk about names in there, these are women that didn't want to have their names in public. They wanted to have their own personal health decisions be private, as they should be. But because of what they've done, they've pushed them into it because they can't get the care. And if you think they're stopping with just 20-state abortion bans, I talk about this, fertility treatments. And the reason I talk about it's personal. You've all done it. This thing, the families who know this, and again, a lot of these things you don't want to talk about because they are personal, but the hell of going through that, look, you're there, however you want to have your family, you decide you want to have children, and you can't, you want to be able to use the science that's there to be able to make that happen. So if you personally haven't gone through it, I guarantee you have somebody who has. And what I said last night was, if you don't know Amanda Zurowski, if you don't know a Hadley Duvall, the names of talking about these women who went through this, if Donald Trump's reelected, it's only a matter of time and all of us will know somebody like that. That's the issue. So for Gwen and I, it took us years to have a child, but we had access to health care, we had access to fertility treatments, and because of that, some of you heard me say this, when we had our daughter, we named her Hope, because it's a powerful word. Her and her brother Gus are our whole world. We talk about them often. But that's what, yeah. So, and that's what this election is about, too. But my wife, who's a very practical Midwest Lutheran English teacher, she often says, hope's the most powerful word in the universe, but it's not a plan. Folks, we got to have a plan to make sure that we win this thing. We got to have a plan to make sure we get it done. Because when Vice President Harris talks about freedom, she means your freedom to make your personal health decisions, choice about your families. And this is my appeal to Republicans. When did the Republican Party think it was okay for politicians to make personal choices about your life? That's not okay. and the freedom of our seniors to retire with dignity by strengthening Social Security. We didn't get to talk about it last night. I didn't get to talk about it much last night, but this is how they think about things. Donald Trump called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. And Senator Vance said it was the biggest roadblock to fiscal sanity. Look, if you've got $1 billion and you're not paying your taxes, I don't think you give a damn if the Social Security check comes or not. But if you're like my nearly 90-year-old mom, she depends on that check. It's really important. And we paid into that system. It doesn't add to the national debt. And we talked about it last night, and I will not apologize for being passionate about this, and I'm going to continue to talk about it. Freedom to send our kids to school without worrying they're going to be shot dead. That's it. I'm a gun owner. I'm a veteran. I'm a gun owner. I'm a hunter. And I found out in the first debate, Kamala's a hunter or a gun owner. She talked about being a gun owner. But look, we keep talking about this. This isn't about the Second Amendment. We can protect the Second Amendment. But our first responsibility is to our kids. First responsibility is kids. And the teachers. Yeah, as we said, after some of these mass shootings, Donald Trump and people said that Americans were traumatized, said we need to get over it. Senator Vance said it's a fact of life down in Georgia. 2 dead students, 2 teachers trying to protect their students dead, and told us that just a fact of life. Kamala Harris said it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be a fact of life. So look, you know it. This is my line. My Lutheran choir wife would tell me this. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I know you know this. The choir needs to sing. We cannot afford 4 years of Donald Trump. We cannot afford 4 years of Donald Trump. We're not going back. So last night, if you were watching that debate, just so you know, you have to agree on the rules, like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute. Honest to goodness, and you heard it, Senator Vance clarified that. He said, when we agreed to this debate, we agreed there'd be no fact checking. He said it. He said it. We did agree to that. And, you know, they say that's meant to be. I would have spent my whole night saying, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. But here's the thing. They helped us out with this. Because no matter what he said, we know what the playbook is. It's a little over 900 pages, and it's called Project 2025. They say, we don't know what that is. Well, really, Senator, you wrote the foreword to the architect, you know, the book. That might have something to do with it. But here's what I said. I know the surest thing. They printed this thing. They put it out there. It lists exactly what they're going to do, from pregnancy registers to gutting, Head Start, some of those things. But I said this, as the old football coach in me knows, if you're willing to make a playbook, you're going to run the plays. You're going to use the plays. But here's the deal. This is the power of the democracy. I think it's important to know what's out there, but that stuff doesn't inspire people. What inspires people is what we're going to do. And in this election, we have a chance to turn the page on those guys. Elect a new generation of leadership and chart the new way forward. All right, you know it. 34 days to go. Some counties, mail ballots have already been dropped. And don't forget here, October 21st, last day to register in Pennsylvania. Here's my pro tip to legislators in Pennsylvania. Do what we do in Minnesota. Get it to same-day registration. It shouldn't be hard to vote. Shouldn't be hard to vote. So here it is. This is our time. All gas, no brakes. And look at me, I'm trying to lead by example. We will sleep when we're dead because I'm not sleeping. So. We don't do it because we're partisan. We don't do it because we're Democrats. We do it because we love our country and believe in the promise of America. So you know it. As the next president of the United States says, when we fight, when we fight, when we fight, there we go.
I was born